First evening of healing back in Dina McCullough. Yes, Giovannina was our musical artist then. Thank you so much. It always brings back great memories when you're in the room and that vibe. I am Dana Jeweler. I'm here to welcome you for the evening. As I look at a lot of the familiar faces, it is hard to believe this is our 7th event. And wow, what a void between the 6th and the 7th. I've missed you all. I've missed this evening and I've missed you all. It's nice to start spring with you. I walked out of my front door today and I looked to my left and to my right and I saw my tulip leaves coming up. I'm like, yes. We have water and cookies in the bag. If I say the bakery Bella Napoli, does anyone recognize that?
Oh, man.
Oh, yes. My foodie knows it. In Latham and Troy, there's this amazing Italian bakery, and my partner in life, Adrian Carr, and I, whenever we drive south, we hit up Bella Napoli, and we bought cookies. We brought cookies back for you. So please don't pass them by. I brought baggies if you want to bring them with you, because this is not really a cookie hour. You can have them with your tea and coffee. Across from the water and cookie table is information from the Coalition to Prevent Suicide, of which I'm a member, and many of us on the Evening of Healing committee are part of. Bonnie Black will be there to answer questions. One thing I really like is a little cup, and it's called Freeze the Key. Locking a gun cabinet, locking a medicine cabinet. If you put the key in it, put it in water and hide it in your freezer, it's going to take a few minutes for it to thaw, and someone may have a minute to call and get some help. And on the top is a 988 number. So if you have an instance to use that, by all means, take one from the table. On a brief note of housekeeping, our exits are here, the main entrance, and then around back. The restrooms go up the stairs or the ramp and then turn left. They'll be on your right. You'll see index cards and pens scattered about. We have a question and answer period at the end, and we don't want people who aren't very comfortable speaking out loud to feel left out. So if you want to write down a question, feel free to do it. We'll collect those and we'll ask them for you. Okay? If you feel overwhelmed at any time, it's a very positive evening, but it also obviously focuses on previous traumas and things. And if you feel triggered enough, just make your way back to the table, the library table, and Bonnie will connect with you and have a little chat. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable at all. As you can imagine, this evening is on my mind for months and days in anticipation. On April 17th, it'll be 51 years since I lost my father to suicide. Each year I post a photo or two of him on Facebook in memoriam, and it's really cool now because my adult son looks just like him, and I do that photo grid collage, so that's very nice. I adore that they resemble each other. Each of the incredible individuals who bring this event to you have experienced trauma in one way or another. We become strong from within, but also from relying on the remarkable people we surround ourselves with. We gain strength in providing this experience for you and from all the panelists that we've had over the years. If you were a previous panelist and you don't mind, could you please stand? And we'd like to honor you. If you feel comfortable and you were a panelist before, will you please stand? If you can. Chelsea, thank you for doing that. My apologies. Before I ask Sally to take over, I would like us to center ourselves. I don't know about you, but I think the pandemic has expedited my life between work, family, other obligations, and I feel like a whirling dervish. So it's always nice to meditate. Adrian and I meditate every morning and evening, but I find myself doing mini meditations throughout the day. So let's leave our burdens and stresses behind and focus on within. Let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath in for the count of 4. Hold it for the count of 5. And release the breath and all that stress of the day with it for the count of 6. One more breath in to the count of 4. Hold it for count of 5. And release it for the count of 6. Thank you. With that, I give you Sally Meisenheimer. Good evening. I was asked to say a few words, and I always have a few words to say. Thank you for showing up tonight. Showing up is a motto that I have with one of my girl clubs, and it's a really important concept. You perhaps were encouraged by someone to come, or you encouraged someone else to come. And nevertheless, we are all here to celebrate healing and hope. I picked up a pack of postcards, and I thought they would be serious when I got them over in Vermont. I was there for a joyous occasion and puttering through a cool little card shop, and they're called empathy postcards. But the more I read, the more I realized that laughter is part of healing. And I checked it out with a few key people tonight. Is laughter okay? Are we allowed to laugh when we're really in the throes of grief? And I wanted to read a little bit about this. It says, empathy postcards, being there is easier than you think. And on the back it says, if you want to show up and make a difference for someone who's going through one of life's hardest times, you don't need special skills or a stockpile of inspirational one-liners. You don't even need to know how to make a casserole. The best way to support someone is simply by letting them know that you care. During times when people shy away because they don't know what to say or what to do, even the smallest gesture makes a difference. So sharing a postcard means everything. Sharing a few words, showing up physically, even when you don't know what to say, gets people through a crisis. It's a community, and that's what this has become. So some of them say some pretty funny things. One says, I'm really sorry I haven't been in touch. I didn't know what to say. And another one says, there is no good card for this. I'm so sorry. And one of the really good ones that I like says, this darkness is not a dead end. It's a hallway. Keep going. So I just thought it's important to share what works for people. They're going to tell you tonight what's worked for them, and those are things that we can all use as we help each other navigate life's ups and downs. So why am I here? I wrote just a little bit of something that I felt kind of talked about the overall feeling that I have for this purpose. And everyone's healing journey begins with comparable symptoms: darkness, open wounds, broken bodies, shattered hearts, and unspoken, perhaps even unknown emotions that burden us as we seek to mend. Grief intensely shuts us down, and it turns us in. It cocoons us in keeping ourselves safe from more harm. And this time allows us to reflect, to heal, to remember, to pass through all of the loss. But as we begin to peek out from this place of healing, there are glimpses of color, there are flickers of light from nature, from laughter, from music, from love. And tonight, we're all peeking out at each other. We've been in that cocoon, particularly our speakers tonight. And the healing has begun, and it continues through speaking and listening. And so tonight, as we peek out at each other, listen, share, allow yourselves to be vulnerable, feel deeper, and be reminded of how to care for one another. And I would like to introduce a good friend of mine who's going to get the night going. And I would like to say that best friendships have been made particularly for me through showing up for each other, especially in the most unimaginable, unfathomable circumstances, things you would never believe could happen to you or to someone else.
So I'm part of this evening because of shared circumstances, because things that I have gone through and shared with my immediate family and then this community of friends. And I'd like to introduce Dina McCullough tonight. I wrote just a few words about her. She's a friend, she's a hallway, she's a window, she's a breath of fresh air, and she's a heroic survivor. So welcome, Dina.
As are you, my good friend, Miss Sally. So in keeping with the spirit of things, a huge welcome to everyone that's here tonight, and thank you also for coming. I was asked to share why this is important to me, and then I will introduce the two people that I am proud to say I had time to collaborate with in the past several months. So first things, and it's interesting, Dana, you mentioned about your dad, because it will be 18 years this spring that our oldest son, Sean, took his own life. And what's interesting is we're now at the point in our life where he will have been dead longer than he was alive, which feels very strange. But it's also kind of like, you know, sometimes it still feels like yesterday, and sometimes it feels like a really long time ago. So I just offer that up because at each point in my life and every changing season and every new year brings a new way of looking at things. So I'm here because I find this a space for healing, expressing grief, and feeling supported. I mean, you've heard what the intro is tonight. Certainly, you all made a choice to come here tonight. Some of you might felt like people are counting on you to come and you don't really know why you're here, but you are here nonetheless, and you did make a choice to show up. It's a deeply personal decision. It's personal for me, and it's personal for each one of you. And I think leaning into other people's grief can be tough. So just take care of yourselves tonight as well. For most of us, we just want our pain to go away. I know that's true for me, but what I find is when I ignore it, it comes out in weird ways. So I'm really much better to just speak about what's going on and understand that I still have that as part of myself. Creating Evening of Healing with some like-minded individuals who are most all here tonight has brought me a great source of peace in my life. And I wonder, you know, what keeps us doing it 7 years later, 3 years after we took a break. I realized how much I really miss this in my life. I've been taking a back step at work from all my community commitments because I realized I have too many. And when I was thinking about Evening of Healing, I went, wait, what? I can't lose that. That's the one thing I need to keep. So it's interesting that when we get down to saying, what do we make time for? We have to really sit and say what matters most to us. So I believe also that we're making the world a better place, one person at a time. I don't know if anyone listened to the NCPR interview with Dana and also Greg Freeman, Jana Jeweler, and if you haven't, please listen to it. I was so touched by Greg's story, and he was one of our first panelists, and I asked him to speak that night. And I don't know that I ever appreciated what his message was, which was, it was the beginning of his healing. He had a really tough night, and he said he cried through the whole thing, but that was the turning point for him. In hearing that, it sits with me to say, oh, right, one person, one difference, that radiates to somebody else, and then maybe he gets somebody else to talk, and we all heal together. So that's why I do Evening of Healing. Transition point. I am honored to have the beautiful Amy Colleen and Melissa Coons with me tonight. I would say to you, Amy's been a friend of mine for many years. Melissa's been a newer friend. And this is what I have to say about the two of them, and they're going to be joining me. Well, actually, they're going to just join themselves, and I'm going to sit here with my new best friend family for this event. So this is what I have to say about Melissa and Amy. Sisters, best friends, deeply connected, brave, wise, and authentic. Amy, AKA the little sister, and Melissa grew up in Michigan. Amy moved to Plattsburgh almost 20 years ago. Melissa stayed in Michigan. Melissa's son, Joseph, completed suicide in 2018 at age 13. Her daughter, Kayla, completed suicide at age 17, 2 years later. While there was no abuse or neglect in their family, there was a history of mental illness on both sides of the family tree. Joe's death was unexpected, with no signs of crisis. Kayla, on the other hand, was diagnosed first with depression and then, correctly, with bipolar disorder. 2 suicide attempts and 2 hospital stays later, Melissa watched her struggle and was helpless to make it better. She was heartbroken, but not shocked by her death. Amy and Melissa communicated regularly, and they are sharing a selection of texts, emails, and letters. They are signposts on their journey of grief and healing. It's a twisted path, but what got them here. Support from afar looks different to all of us, and yet support is support no matter how you give it. You will see Amy and Melissa sitting back to back for the opening part of their story, a way to say, we were not together, and yet we were connected. I invite you to listen closely as they reveal their personal stories and honor the lives of Joe and Kayla, beautiful children who died too soon. I give you Amy and Melissa.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you. Okay, so I don't know if anybody else is weepy yet. That was beautiful, thank you. We're going to start off with a text. Hi, sis. I just can't. Joey hasn't even been gone for 24 hours. I heard the notification of a voicemail, and so I picked up the phone and listened to an apologetic female voice ask me if I would consider donating my son's body for organ harvest.
Oh, sister.
Vultures are circling already. I am violently angry. All I keep thinking is that Joe's body isn't even cold yet. I'm shaking as I write this. I'm resentful of that calm woman asking for my son's tissues. I can see them taking his eyes, the beautiful blue eyes that made girls slow blink. His sweet eyelashes that gave me baby butterfly kisses. His body that came from my body. My tears are hot and bitter. How in the hell did they even get my number? Please, get here.
I'm on my way to Burlington and coming as fast as I can, sis. My flight leaves in a few hours and I'll be there tonight. I can't even begin to imagine the thoughts and feelings around the decisions you and Steve need to make. I want you to know that we are 100% supportive of whatever you decide. As for your question, how did they get your number? I don't know. You always are and have been an organ donor, so I imagine you're on a national registry or something, so they're probably connected. You've always said, when you die, make sure they can have whatever is useful. I understand that making this decision for yourself is way different than making it in this context. And you have every right to feel differently today than you did yesterday.
I actually just talked with Steve. We're going to do it. Maybe somebody else's child can have a chance at life. So wrong in so many ways.
I love you, sis. Heart emoji.
Here's another text. I got another casserole today. I wish you were here to eat it. I'm not hungry.
People don't know what to do, sis. They just want to help. So maybe think of the casserole as symbolic of the many, many kitchen warriors that are out there for you, and they love you. And you don't have to eat it.
I just checked the freezer. There are at least 5 dinners in there.
Exactly.
Is this the part where I let them hold my pieces together until I can rebuild myself? I'm shattered and broken from the effort of breathing, much less eating.
Honestly, I don't know what part this is. No one does. Heart emoji. So this is an email that we sent to each other. Hi, sis. I tried to go to Rotary today. The program speaker was Stefanik, and go figure, she was talking about school shootings and child suicide. Ugh, definitely too soon. I thought it would be a good idea to be surrounded by good people. They're definitely my friends. The truth is, I'm realizing I don't know what to do with their concern. And what was I thinking? I mean, they care, and I know it's real, it's genuine. But when they ask me how I'm doing, there is no way to be honest. There are no words, and there isn't really time to find words in 2 minutes. I say, I'm doing okay, and then I feel sick. I betray you, I betray Joey, I betray my own soul when I say, I'm fine, we're doing okay. We're so not okay.
Amy, I get asked this at least 50 times a day. I realize that so many feelings coexist. When I say I'm okay, I sort of mean it. I go to work, I eat, I shower sometimes. I interact with friends. Of course, I'm always sad, but sometimes I'm okay. And also, I am a disaster. I have moments of panic when I feel like I'm going to dissolve into bits that cease to exist. This panic is painful and scary, and it pounces on me when I'm not looking. It's a black spider in the corner. Both statements are true. I am okay, and I am a disaster. I live with that dichotomy every day, and I'm used to getting used to it. It sometimes makes me cringe, like 2 songs being played at the same time. I've got heavy metal in one ear and a show tune in the other. I can hear each one distinctly, and if I focus really hard, I can kind of tune one out. But they're both playing in the background all the time. It makes it so hard to concentrate on the people and events around me because it takes so much energy.
That is well said. I feel the same way. I'm learning that I can write a program for blind children and be literally gutted and on the verge of tears at the same time. I'm grateful my office is so small and quiet, and I don't know what I would do without Jody. She gets it. She leaves me alone when that's the thing, and she sits through the ugly cries and the why gods. She's unafraid of the reality of this, and that is one of the most helpful pieces of support that I can have. It's the only way I can come to work.
Sister, that's so true. I just want to be alone, and I cannot bear to be alone. Both are true at the same time. Another text. OMG. I just got done having lunch with Jess, and it's the first time since Joey died that I actually tasted my food.
Oh, that was so good.
It was a French dip. I didn't even realize for the last 4 months I haven't been tasting food until I did. 2 words, horseradish aioli.
Just don't tell Mom, because she'll stop making fried chicken if you can't even taste it. Liquor. That's a favorite in our family. So this is a text from between myself and our little sister Emily. She's a couple years younger than me. She writes to me, OMG, our sister is losing her ever-loving mind. Smiley face, tears, emoji thing. What fresh hell? Emily said, well, we're downstairs and she's sitting on the bed with a box of JoJo's ashes. Okay. And she starts singing, Amy. What?
I'm the man in the box.
It's by Alice in Chains, like no joke. She's singing it.
And I was in there.
No, she did not. Emily, yes, she did. It's about as bad as Emily as when she suggested sloppy joes at the memorial lunch. It took her a minute to realize why I refused to allow her to do that.
That happens.
It was funny, kind of.
Funny enough, funny. Oh, here's the email that I wrote to my sister. Dear Amy, you asked me not too long ago about my new therapist, and I have to say that I'm looking for another one. I was on session 3 and I realized she wasn't making an important distinction between depression and bereavement. And when I tried to explain myself, she essentially dismissed it. I've dealt with depression and anxiety my entire life. I've taken meds on and off, but I never liked the zombie they turned me into. A few months before Joe died, my anxiety was getting to be intolerable, and I talked with my doctor about trying something new. She suggested Lexapro, and I started off on the lowest little dose, and I liked how I felt. After Joe died, I asked her about upping that dose, and we stepped it up, increasing it to an actual adult level with good results. I could feel that my depression and anxiety weren't debilitating. If someone has never experienced mental health issues, they may not understand how difficult things can be. Simple things like showering and eating and going to the grocery store for apples. I have a restless depression and it leaves me without focus, wandering around trying to get something, anything done, and completing nothing. I don't want to do anything either. Then I feel guilty for not getting the things done and angry for not making myself do it. Bereavement is different. Grieving the loss of someone I love so deeply is not the same as being depressed. The pain is as big as the love I feel, and it threatens to destroy me. There have been moments when I didn't think I could survive my grief, that I would simply die of my broken heart. And some moments that I actually thought death would be a relief. I couldn't see an end to the enormity of my pain, lungs that wouldn't fill and a heart that would surely burst with pressure. There were no words, no thoughts in those moments of heartache when the sobs escaped and the weight of my loss crushed my skin against my bones. I felt I would break and die, and that would be okay. Then the tears would ebb, and I would wipe off the snot and spit, and I could breathe again. And I guessed I wasn't going to die after all. I was left empty and raw, but clean inside too. Empty and clean. The meds help alleviate depression symptoms. They do not help with grief.
This is a text about how it can sneak up on you. Hi sis, I pulled in the driveway today, the song was on by Sarah Bareilles, the one that you used to sing. And I can't believe that it's been years and it still feels like this can't be real. Is this our life now?
Grief brings its own special insanity. I felt things that are so crazy that I know I must be losing my mind. One of the worst feelings I have is that I'm living in this alternate reality, one where Kayla and Joe never existed at all. There's another world somewhere where they live on and I'm not there. I'm here, stuck in this world, where they are not. It looks the same, but I know this isn't my real life. And I'm freshly devastated every time I remember that other world. My kids are just not here, and I'm sad and angry that I'm here without them.
It's a new text. Hi sis, I know today is a hard day. Sometimes I wonder how we made it even a day after Joe and Kayla. I love you. No need to reply. Heart emoji.
Actually, it isn't hard today. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just that today I'm okay. Plus Lexapro.
I love that. I'm glad you're still talking to your doctor. Are things getting easier?
The only thing that is easy is sleeping, because that's the only thing I actually want to do.
A quick email. Hi sis. I have some fun updates about the weekend. The kids had a lot of stuff going on. Should I share or is it too hard to hear? I don't really know how to do this.
Don't you ever keep my nieces from me, smiley face emoji. This is a part of the living that we continue to actually live. You know, I love their shenanigans. Tell on McTeller. Here's the text. I am proud of myself for not going to jail today.
Oh dear.
A lady at the gas station told me she had just found out about Joe and Kayla, and she patted my hand and said, well, at least they're in a better place. And I did not assault her. But is there such a thing as justifiable aggravated assault? Who says stuff like that?
The people who say that are people who mean well, but they don't always think first. That's who says things like that. Nice job. I'm not committing a felony. You got this.
Oh, this is a letter that I wrote to my baby sister, Emily. Dear Emily, I've been writing. You said I should write, that it might help, and I've been doing that. I have a journal full of macabre thoughts and even some humor. How do I write? I sit with an experience and try to put words to things that are indescribable. I think about my feelings and how they manifest physically in my body, waves or stabs or flower petals falling. I think about observing me, watching myself go through things, and I watch myself sobbing on the edge of the abyss that is my grief. It's a scary edge, and when I go there, I know there's a chance I'll tumble in. Sometimes I'm worried that I'll jump. I put words together to find the edges of things that I can't see. It's like throwing a sheet over an invisible object. It gives it a shape. I hope my words will do justice to the immensity of my emotions. I hope others will see the sheet shape and recognize it too. Anyway, I wanted you to know that I love you and that the writing comes. I love you always, Mel.
So something that you had also said right around the same time, and I think it'd be really useful for you to share. I'm going to put you in Paul's seat, older sister, in the hot seat. But remember when you were talking about the mountain or the rocks or whatever you were carrying, the load, and I think it helped me understand that about refuge.
Yeah, I do remember that. I was describing, because obviously we talk a lot, if you didn't get that by now, we talk a lot, and one of the things I was trying to describe was this journey and how we actually get through it. And I felt like I woke up one day and there's a mountain, and now it's my job to climb up this mountain. And I also woke up with this nasty backpack on, and it's attached to my body, and I can't get rid of it. It's now a part of me, and it's full of this sloshy liquid. And each time I'm taking a step, and I think I've got this, something happens, and everything shifts, and I'm off balance, and now I'm stumbling along the side of the mountain because there's not even a path here anymore. And people talk about going through grief like there's there's an end point. There's a demarcation of some sort. And what I'm saying is the grief doesn't seem to lessen. It's there. My children are gone. I mean, I have to live with it every day. But the more I carry it, the stronger I'm getting. And able to take those steps. And sometimes I have to rest, and sometimes I have to lay right down. And I have people who just hold the space for me. Get that back up there and keep going up the mountain. That was just...
I like that you said that, and I mean, part of the idea is that it doesn't go away necessarily. It can shift at times, like you said, over the 18 years, and longer, that it can shift. It's always with you, but you get stronger if you let yourself. And I think that was beautiful. Thank you for remembering that.
I think one of the, if you take nothing else away from this, therapy is a good thing. Yeah, I don't care who you are or what you're going through. Having someone who is solely there for you, who isn't invested in any other way. Amy has been there for me. She lost her nieces, her niece and her nephew. And so she's dealing with her own grief in the same way that I'm dealing with mine. So having a therapist, a support group, where I can find that, it's been really valuable because that person's just there for me. And I don't have to worry about being a burden, because we feel that sometimes.
and try many sometimes.
Yeah.
Because not all, the therapists are great, they're well-intended, and they're all good in their own way, but if,
Find one that fits.
yeah.
And keep going until you find one that does, because they're really great when you find the right one. It's a unicorn, and they're amazing. The other thing is, obviously, we did find things to be humorous throughout the last 5 years. And when the first giggle came out, I felt guilty. I'm not allowed to be happy. I'm not allowed to find joy. I'm not allowed to find the silliness that I've always had in my life. It's survivor's guilt. And I have a very special sister who said, it's okay, you get to be happy still. And so find every moment that you can and be easy on yourself if you're going through something and you have that feeling of, it's too soon to giggle. Well, I say it's not. So take it when you can have it. And letting other people help you. Now, I'm going to tell you something about Amy. I called her one day, I was cleaning my bathroom, and I said,
We didn't plan this, so I'm a little nervous, as Lisa.
no, it's fine, don't worry. I called her because I said, it's been over a year, and I still have Joe's toothbrush in the cup. What am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
Should I be throwing this away now? And I, in that moment, having a person to call and ask that question to, because that question was too big for me. You throw it away? That feels like sacrilegious.
But do you make it a shrine?
That's what she said.
I mean, do you need a shrine? Do you want a shrine? Because maybe that's just the thing, a toothbrush on a shelf. Like, you could probably write poetry for that for years. I mean, and maybe, but whatever. I mean, the point was that
I reached out. I
Yeah.
had a person that I could call, and I have reached out to many people and felt the support of many people. So, let other people, they really do want to help you.
yeah, they say, what can I do, right? How many, like, if there's anything you need, please let me know. Like, they're not kidding. When people say that, when they say, please tell me if there's something that I can do. I mean, if you need a casserole, ask for a casserole. I mean, you probably won't need one.
Give them a gift card for a restaurant, and they can call and have real food ordered in the moment. Just saying.
No, but leaning in, and Dina, I mean, you have been there for me. You've been a person that I can call, and when they say that, and you find a couple of people, some anchors, Sally, you mentioned it too, those friend circles where you can call. I remember feeling, I'd gone home to Michigan after Kayla died, and so this was a couple of years ago, and we were in the grieving process, but part of our time at home is that you don't just grieve and cry for a week. There's life happening all around that. So my stepfather was building a cabin in the woods, and he left Emily and I during the day to cut down trees and drag them across the creek and across the yard, and then strip them and cut out the notches, and then he would help us stack them when he got them. Okay, I mean, we got this. So we did have it, and we did it, but we needed a different chainsaw, and Mom was mad because we weren't helping her make dinner in the kitchen, and why are you out helping Grandpa instead of helping me? What am I, a cook? For a restaurant up in here all by myself? And, so I felt like really torn, but I was like, well, I'm gonna hurry up and go get the chainsaw, and then I'm gonna, then I'll come back and peel the eggs for your big salad or whatever. And I remember getting halfway into town and having literally a breakdown, and I called Dina, and I don't know if you know this, but I called Dina on the side of the road and was like, I can't be everything for everybody, and I can't even be here for myself. Like, I don't even know what's happening. Like, I'm building a house, Dina. Like, and I probably had some words, other words that we wouldn't say in the church. But I'm like, what is happening? And why am I falling apart? Like, I have to be literally the foundation for people. And you said to me something that was very, very useful. How much time are we good? And so just really quickly that, to have open expectations about life and about how this process is. And if we can do that, not lowering our expectations for people, right? But having open expectations and not putting such a definitive answer to everything, and just let it be okay. And I think that is such a beautiful piece of advice that you gave me. The bigger picture.
She
you go
shared
back.
that with me, and
Yeah.
I am absolutely, that makes so much sense.
Just lean into your people, because they are there and they will offer you support when you need to pull over on the road. And always tell Dina first, hey, I need you, this is a dark time, so that she knows it's coming and I'm not trauma dumping, but you've never not picked up. So, you can
So
have the
thank you.
final word since you're the big sister.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and holding this space.
You gotta leave me now. You gotta go alone. You gotta chase a dream, one that's all your own before it slips away. When you're flying high, you take my heart along. I'll be the harmony to every lonely song that you learn to play. When you're soaring through the air, I'll be your solid ground. Take every chance you dare, I'll still be there when you come back down. When you come back down. Keep looking up, awaiting your return. My greatest fear will be that you will crash and burn, and I won't feel your fire. I'll be the other hand that always holds the line, connecting in between your sweetheart and mine. I'm strung out on that fire. And I'll be on the other end to hear you when you call. Angel, you were born to fly. If you get too high, I'll catch you when you fall. Catch you when you fall. Memories, the sunshine that every new day brings. I know the sky is calling, angel. Let me help you with your wings. When you're soaring through the air, I'll be your solid ground. Take every chance you dare, I'll still be there when you come back down. When you come back down.
Beautiful, Janina, thank you so much. I don't know if the mic is on, but I don't know that I need one. I'd like to introduce Chelsea Schiefer, and she will introduce Colby Kaiser. Chelsea, I've known for many years. She and my daughter Mia went to high school together. And I remember when you had the accident and how much everyone just wanted to be there for you and help you, and we're still right behind you in everything you do. Does anyone get the Adirondack Coast magazine from the chamber? Chelsea's on the cover. I teased Colby's wife. I love watching people on Facebook. And I love watching Chelsea and her paraskiing or her bicycling or her cross-country skiing. And I'm able-bodied trying to do this, and she just blows me out of the water. I just love watching her videos. And I just love how she keeps it real. She pushes the boundaries. She's a fierce mother, a fierce friend, and just an amazing individual. So without further ado, Chelsea Schiefer and Colby Kaiser.
Thank you so much for coming, and it's long overdue, and I've forgotten how important it is for my healing and for my journey. So many familiar faces in the audience. It just reminds me that, the community is such an important part of feeling connected and not feeling that you're alone. And when I come to this event, it's always like a burden is just being lifted. I'm able to hear what somebody else is experiencing and know that I'm not alone in my experience, even if it's a different situation. It's still very much universal. And just what Amy and Melissa said about laughter, it's so important. I mean, making fun of the situation or seeing what has just happened as just hilarious, and feeling the dichotomy between, is this okay for me to be laughing right now? I think I should be crying. I think I should be grieving. But no, we're complex individuals, and these are complex times. So, but Colby's here tonight. I'm excited to hear his story, and I want to know more about your experience. Although we both use wheelchairs, as you can see, and we both have spinal cord injuries, and we're both paralyzed from the waist down. There's a different level of injury, so it's very different as far as our experience. Colby has a higher injury in his back, and mine is lower, so it means that I have the ability to raise my arms and not feel like I'm going to fall down as easy. And that makes a big difference to the way that we get around and the things that we can do or feel nervous about doing. But so anyway, Colby has a similar story, but very different. And some of the things that I've learned about Colby, I feel are very similar to my own story. So without further ado, Colby Kaiser.
Thank you. Hi everybody, thank you for being here and thank you for having me. I didn't write a script or anything, so I'm sorry. I just came here to tell you my story and what I've been through and what challenges I've faced and how I faced them. You probably read the bio, but I was 20 years old when I got into a motocross accident. I broke my spine at T6, so it's like right below my pecs. So yeah, obviously it's hard to have in your legs, but it's a lot harder than having in your core. I guess just to give you a brief scenario, I was brought to CVPH. I was at a local track in Harkness. I was brought to CVPH. They couldn't really do much, so I was airlifted to Vermont, where they had to do an emergency surgery, obviously. So they took bone out of my hip and fused T2 through T10 in my spine. And I spent 10 days in ICU there, where I couldn't do much. And then from there I went to Spalding Rehab in Boston, which was one of the best places around that we found. And obviously the biggest challenge was learning to live again without, I had to learn everything. You have to learn to live again without your legs, without your core. So that was the biggest challenge today. When I got to Spalding, I couldn't get out of bed. So, I mean, it's a real eye opener. I will say I can't necessarily explain where it came from. I had a positive mindset from the start. I woke up for my surgery in ICU in Vermont, and it's like, wow, I have my arms and I have my head, and I was like, wow, thank God. I'm one of those people where it's somebody else out there has a situation worse, and this, as bad as it seems, it's brought so much positivity in my life. I don't want to say I haven't grieved. I haven't been through a bunch of grieving stages. Again, I can't explain how. I just kind of jumped back into my life and picked up where I left off. I guess I'll jump into a couple of the challenges that you don't really face. I didn't really realize, obviously, what it takes. Like, before my accident, for example, you look at a wheelchair and you're like, you picture a hospital wheelchair. You're like, that's a wheelchair. And like picking out a wheelchair when you get a new one is like, wow. Like, aside from the price, obviously, 'cause it's insane. It's like, you know, measure you for this, and you don't realize, I mean, I do a lot in life to where I've put this thing through a lot. And another big challenge, I guess, is that they don't hold up really well. As you can see, this one's down to bare metal. I mean, Chelsea sent me some questions this morning for me to go over, so I could have a better understanding of how to go about this. And one of them was, you know, my biggest accomplishment. So when I left Spalding, I had, I think, about 6 months at home before I jumped back into life, and I went back to school, and I went back to work. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is getting back into that everyday life is, it makes it a lot easier. I know they touched on it sometimes. You know, you're always going to have it there, obviously, physically, yes, in our situation. But getting back into everyday life, and I revolve my whole life around my mindset. I think that people ask me, like, why are you so positive? Like, why do you not grieve and everything? And I think just my mind was turned on as soon as I woke up, and I was positive from there. A big moment when I got my accident, I guess, that I'll touch on like the downside of things. When I was in Vermont, and I got before I got my surgery, I think, when I woke up, I did overhear that one of the doctors was like, "Oh, you know, you'll be in assisted living for the rest of your life." And I guess maybe that might have flicked the switch. And I was like, wow, I can, you know, sit here and dwell upon my situation, or I can, you know, prove everybody wrong. And that's what I've been doing since, I guess. I'm back on my dirt bike. I got back on my dirt bike a couple years later. They modified my dirt bike, so I'm back on that. You know, my grades were 10 times better after my accident. I met the love of my life and got married in October. You know, fresh out of college, I had a career path, and I'm gonna end up probably doing the rest of my life. So, you know, I think it's one of those things where I believe that bad news is good news in disguise. You know, you can make the best of everything. And I know it's hard to explain that, and I know everybody doesn't feel the same way. But I was just a very positive person.
One of the things that I've noticed, or that I've thought about, is that when you make a decision, you make that decision. I mean, you know, stuck with that train of thought, and that you don't compare yourself to others, you're comparing yourself to yourself. And, you know, I also have heard you say something that's similar to my experience, which was, you know, your parents or your loved ones were grieving, and you were watching that when this happened, and you kind of had to, like, be the strength, or, you know, be the person to say, like, I got this, because you want to carry those people who you love so much. They're grieving, and reassure them that everything is okay. So I feel like my situation, my story is similar to that because I didn't want anybody to be too concerned. I wanted to show them that I could do it, and also that feeling of like, you know, I have something to prove. I want to really knock their socks off, you know? And I think that's probably who you are or were beforehand. It's just who you are. And, you know, it's helped you to see this as a new chance at life. Or, you know, when your accident happened, you just flicked the switch and you were like really turned on. You know, your life, your grades. You said, I'm not going to let this ruin me. I'm going to have this propel me even further. And now I really have something to prove. I want to really, you know, turn heads. Maybe that's who you were before. Maybe you are somebody who would like motocross. That's your thing. I mean, that's like living on the edge a little. And so, I mean, that's who you are. And so here you are, you know, using your wheelchair, you're doing things, you're adapting your bike and living your life as normal as before. So returning to that normal, however it may look. I mean, I think that that's also part of the healing process is saying, where would I be, you know, if this wasn't to have happened? I want to continue to be that person. I still am that same person. But yes, it never goes away. I mean, for us, it's visible. You know, our wheelchair is always there. So, I mean, and we can't not use our wheelchair. But funny things happen. I mean, funny things happen. Just the other day I was coming down. I have 2 lifts in my home, and I have one that comes out from our doorway down off the porch. And I was taking a selfie of myself with my new aviator sunglasses while I was going down the lift on my way to work in the morning. And I was just doing my thing, and then I didn't even think about it, but I just thought it was all the way down, and it was not all the way down, and I just rolled right off and fell down, and I didn't even know what was happening. All I know is I was taking that picture, ready to go, 7 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm on the ground. And I look, and my wheelchair is like just on its side, and I can see that the lift has probably another 1.5 to 2 feet down to go. And I was not paying attention, and I was okay, luckily. I've got some bruises, but, you know, but I have to look out. We have to look out for our legs, you know. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're not really helping us out much, but we do have to watch out for them. I mean, I've broken my leg since my accident in an ice shanty, and that was something. But, you know, these are things that happen. But the side of it is that, yes, we can't walk, but we do have to really watch our body to make sure that we're keeping it safe. And, you know, that's something that most people wouldn't know. You know, it's more than just not being able to walk. It's, you know, your shoulder injuries or, you know, your back hurting from sitting all the time. But, you know, you've remained really positive, and, you know, I like what you said that, you know, what is it that you said about being, that, you know, loss or tragedy is just an opportunity in disguise. And it is. It really is. It can be. It doesn't have to be right away, but it can be. You were mentioning about, you know, the cost of wheelchairs, and is there anything funny that you can think of that, you know, you had happen that most people would maybe look at and say, oh my gosh, that sounds horrible?
I mean, I have like a half a chair at home. I kind of just flip around every now and then.
Yeah, for parts.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I got about a half of one now, so you won't be able to tell.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have a couple at home because parts are hard to come by sometimes. And I had one experience where I was doing wheelies for, a month waiting for a caster to come in at the medical store, and I was making a joke to the man on the other end saying, oh, my abs are really getting a good workout, I think I'm really getting some muscle tone, and he was like okay with that joke. And I was thinking, that's not right. I mean, that's his job, he shouldn't be okay with a joke like that. But me, I was just doing my script. And I think there's this kind of script, this identity that you have to play, that I'm okay, everything's okay, don't worry about me, I'm feeling like this all the time, but don't worry about me,
You get used to it.
You do, but I mean, but I think, looking towards your family, like you mentioned, and have there been moments where you look, like an anniversary or anything like that, where you thought, or maybe you were surprised by, your sense of disappointment or sadness or anything like that?
I mean, it's going to sound weird, but the biggest thing that's affected my accent so much is not being able to snowboard anymore.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing I think about. I mean, people are like, oh my God, you can't walk. I'm like, oh, really? Like, you don't really realize those things, and like, and people are amazed at what you do every day, and to you it's just, you're doing your normal life.
Right.
And I mean this in the lightest way possible. Once you get used to people staring at you, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at it and say, yeah, they're really, really that attractive, or I'm really that, it's really something to look at. Like if you could turn it around in a positive way.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I would say for me, there were times where I was like, all right, enough already, I mean, there are times people say things, they're like, oh, we're still on this? I can't believe you would say something like that, I mean, I was in the DMV and a man was standing in front of me and he looked back and he said, boy, I really wish I could sit down. I wish I had my And it is one of those moments where you're like, I'm glad, I'm surprised I'm not in jail there. Because you're usually, I'm silenced by those things. I'm like, I just looked at it and said, I'd really like to have the choice. I mean, and that was my honest reaction. But people say really dumb things. I've had people that I don't know say, wow, what happened to you? And I'm like, it is none of your business what happened to me. But, they're just so, like, in awe that you're out and about, And to me, why not? Why wouldn't we be out and about? Why can't you continue to get back into your normal, again? And the feeling guilty about, oh my gosh, is this okay for me to be able to do? But your family, it sounds like, has allowed you to be yourself.
Yeah.
And not hold you back.
Yeah.
And
I've
say,
had
you can't do that. That's too dangerous. And
Well.
your mom is here.
Well, I figured they weren't happy the first time about my bike, so it's like, yeah, I'll go buy them.
Yeah, it's true. It's because there's things I don't tell my mom. I haven't, just because I don't want her to worry. But, it's your support allowing you to be yourself and not hold you back, and allow you to take those risks that you're inherently here to do. That's who you are. And that allows you to be happy and inspired and fully formed to your potential person. I think that's important to know.
Absolutely.
Okay. No, I just am, I'm being here and listening to your stories and the laughter. I don't know that I've really experienced as much laughter during this event as I have tonight. So I appreciate everybody just being, just light and honest. There's a lot of pain and a lot of sadness, but yet at the same time, there's a lot of opportunities in all of that to make jokes and not feel guilty about it. and to be honest, that it's insane. These things that happen are insane. And sometimes the only thing we can do is laugh. Because we're just blown away by the sheer insanity of it. But no, I really appreciate you being here. Was there anything else that you wanted to say? I mean, what about your experience when you were at Spalding? I mean, you were young, you went there. Did you meet other people that were similar?
I met a kid that was exactly my age with the exact, well, he had the exact same injury as me on a dirt bike, but he was incomplete. So by the end of rehab, he was walking again. But
How was that for you?
so he kind of tried to hide it from me because he didn't know how I feel about it, which obviously I was super ecstatic for him. But I mean,
Did you have conflicting feelings at all in seeing that? Or?
not really, because I understand. I mean, yes, it was rehab to get me to walk again, but it was also, I mean, there was knowledge training to be like, this is, where you're at, and this is what's going to happen. And I mean, I don't want to say I'm not optimistic about, ever walking again, but it doesn't cross my mind. And people are always like, oh, are you ever going to walk again? Maybe. I don't know. It happens.
Yeah. Wow. So that's quite a story that he was able to be rehabilitated and walking.
Yeah.
And I've seen that too in different people. It's we all have a different story, different path. Does that mean that that's our ticket to happiness? What we have to ask ourselves that. Is that really going to make us happy if we had the ability to walk? Life is about challenges. I think, at least who I am, I know that I always wanted to be challenged, and this is just a perfect vehicle for challenges.
Absolutely.
So you be careful what you ask for in life. But I think when I had an anniversary that was really hard at 15 years, and it took me by surprise. I was crying. It was horrible. But I think at the heart of it was that I wanted my fiance to really know me. I said, I want you to know me. I want to be able to climb up a mountain with you. I want you to see me run down and skip here, skip here, skip here. And I said, I want you to know that I can leap over 2 stairs, 3 stairs at a time going up. I can do that. And he said, I already know that about you. I don't need to see that, but I think sometimes we feel that we can't really truly be ourselves because of something that's taken something away. But people really get the essence of who we are. Even if you can't walk, or even if you can't snowboard, you're still who you are. We'll get that. So, your wife, your mother, your brother, your family, your friends, they know who you are. You don't have to be standing in order to make that appearance.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here, and I really appreciate you sharing everything. Your
Yeah, thank you for the
positivity.
opportunity.
I respect that, and it really is important. I gained so much from that. Thank you.
I'm a picture perfect painting of imperfections, and I'm a walking definition. Unsettled and restless, a needle in my compass points anywhere but home. I thought I'd always be alone. I never wanted to tap my brakes. I never wanted to settle down. I was always 1 foot out the door. Never thought about turning around. Never saw myself with a white picket fence dug into the ground. Never till now. Out of all the all the prayers I've prayed, your heavens answered, not all the hell I've been through. I never thought you'd be out there, thank God you were out there. I never wanted to time my brakes, I never wanted to settle down. I was always 1 foot out the door, never thought about turning around, and saw myself with a white picket fence dug deep in the ground. Never till never till you walked into that bar, never till we talked over that song, never till we danced till close one time, never till you proved me wrong. Like the kind of love falls so hard you never hit the ground, never till now. Kind of love falls so hard you never hit the ground, never till now. Kind of love you fall so hard you never hit the ground, never till now.
I'd like to introduce Bonnie Black, formerly of BHSN, and now she'll tell you a little bit. She's the chairman of the Coalition to Prevent Suicide in Clinton County. Come right on up. You want to do it there? Or you want to do it here? Okay. Just a moment, Bonnie. 1 second. While Bonnie's speaking, think about your questions you'd like to ask. We'll have a question and answer after.
Yes, and if you don't want to stand up and ask, which I will walk around with a mic to have you do that, feel free to write it on an index card, and then we have volunteers who are ready to pick up that index card from you. We will ask your question, and then any question you have of our speakers or the coalition, we'll be glad to answer. And if you write it down and prefer not to ask yourself, just hold it up and they will notice it while I'm briefly talking. If you go to the almost last page in your program, you'll see what our coalition and the foundation calls the Be the One Scholarship. Due to the pandemic, it hasn't been since 2019 since we awarded it. It is for 2 high school seniors who write an essay or make a video or write a song, however they want to interpret their life experience similar to what you've heard tonight. Be the One is actually a shortening of the National Council on Well-Being's phrase, be the one to make a difference. And you've heard tonight how Amy was the one to help Melissa. Melissa was the one to help Amy. Dina was the one to help Amy. I mean, and we're hearing how Corey had family and people, who helped him. So being the one who is there, the important thing is your presence. You don't even have to say anything, just be with someone. But of course, we'd like you to learn the right things to say and do, plus feel confident in it when we talk about suicide prevention and suicide intervention. So on our information table in the back, you'll see a lot about mental health first aid and other evidence-based trainings regarding suicide prevention and suicide intervention. I may have retired from a paid job, but I haven't retired yet. from our community. This has always been my passion for over 20 years of the almost 30 I worked at BHSM, that every life is special and suicide is preventable. And we have facts and data to uphold that last statement. So, a suicide-safer community begins with every one of you. And the scholarship is our way as a coalition to reach out to schools, to young people, to get them comfortable with emoting a little, reflecting a little, and understanding that someone can be there for them. So please take your program home. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but the coalition would especially like you to read the part on the scholarship, because we will be releasing that for the next academic year to local guidance counselors in schools. And if you know of homeschooled people, let us know. My business card is on the table. I can be in touch with them, and we can get applicants by the 1st of next year, so that, as we have done in the past, the winners of the scholarship competition actually come here and either speak with you reading their essay, or perform for you if it's a song, or we show their video. The community is stronger because one person can make a difference. Thank you.
So we're going to open it up for questions, and our speakers, I know, are happy to move in and answer. Does anybody have a question that they'd like to ask?
Silence across the room.
Yeah, go ahead, Becca.
Hey, Corey, I appreciate you sharing your story. Thank you.
Colby.
Oh, Colby, I'm sorry. I guess I wanted to hear a little bit more about you getting back on the dirt bike, that your drive to do that, what it felt like, if there was any second guessing. Whatever you care to share, I'm just curious about that part of it.
So there was absolutely no second guessing. They modified my original dirt bike that I got hurt on maybe a year or two after my accident. I was kind of surprised actually, and I was not hesitant the least bit. It was just one of those things that made me, I don't want to say feel normal, just was one of those things that got me back to doing what I was doing again. Yeah, they kind of surprised me with it, but now I haven't turned back. I bought another, I got a newer one now, a bigger one. And that's how I spend most of my summer.
I have an add-on question to that. Can you talk a little bit about like how you get on, and how do you need like a pit crew? What happens when you go to race?
I mean, so my wife's always there. She's on big crew. But I lean my bike up against the tailgate of my truck. I sit in the bed of my truck. I just hop onto the bike. There's nothing like, we haven't modified anything to be able to start and stop yet. So I just strap. There's a couple leg straps, bindings in the bottom, and it's got a special shifter on it. So I take off from my tailgate, and then when I come back in, I just rest it against my tailgate.
Like that. Some other questions? I always write something down when somebody says something that I'm curious about, but you mentioned two words that I thought were really interesting, Melissa: restless depression. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, actually, depression can take many forms, and people often think of depression as like a catatonic state of the I can't get up, I can't brush my teeth, I can't do anything, I don't want to talk. I have a different kind of depression, and it often looks like ADHD, and I'm zipping around doing a bunch and getting absolutely nothing done, accomplished, completed. And that's what I meant specifically by that. And anybody who experiences different types of depression would recognize that, if that makes sense. So that's what I meant.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What's the best thing a therapist has said to you, and what's the worst?
Thanks, Nikki. The best thing a therapist has said and the worst. Amy's got an answer.
I remember my therapist, and I won't give her name, although she was lovely and turned me on to a lot of books. I recommend reading a lot. But I had gone through, they ask you, so why are you here? And it's often the first thing you talk about. And I laid out myself like filet, with all of my feelings, all of my problems, all of our childhood stuff. I covered moms and dads and the abandonment issues. And I'm like, basically, I was like, so that's why I'm here, And then she looked at me, and it was literally the best and worst at the same time. Thing that she said to me was, so what? She looked at me and said, so what? She was in a rocking chair and she was taking her notes. So what? And what she meant and what we got to was, okay, so that happened, and it's real, and your grief is real, and your experiences are real, but if you're worried, if you're here to talk about the why, you may be stuck, because so what means that you're looking forward, right? So what's next? That's what she meant. So what? Okay, so what now? What's next? And you can talk about why. Why did Joey take his life? What did we do wrong? If it's preventable, I think, did we fail? So like where did we all go wrong, and why, the why? And, that was, just to quickly say, she said, so what? And that's when I began formulating a plan. And my first thing was, I got a book club. I don't know why that was it, but it was the first thing. I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna get a book club. So anyway, that's a quick answer. So what?
That's the information you needed at the time.
Anybody else? Well, before we close with music, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for speaking, sharing deep parts of your life with love, laughter, hope, healing. It goes way beyond this room, and I hope that you all know that. Take it out with you. I was just going to read a poem that's called "Allow" by Dana Falls. There is no controlling life. Try corralling a lightning bolt, containing a tornado. Dam a stream, and it will create a new channel. Resist, and the tide will sweep you right off your feet. Allow, and grace will carry you to higher ground. The only safety lies in letting it all in. The wild, the weak, fear, fantasies, failures, and success. When loss rips off the doors of the heart, or sadness veils your vision with despair, practice becomes simply bearing the truth. In the choice to let go of your known way of being, the whole world is revealed to your new eyes. Thanks for coming, everybody. Giovannina's gonna play us out.
You got a mind that moves 1,000,000 miles an hour. Smoke a pack a day. You and I back 6 to sleep, and 24 to waste away. Go easy. Go easy, baby. Come back down. You go easy. Go easy, baby, come back down. Before it's too late. say something. Before these words burn my tongue, go easy. Go easy, baby, come back down. Go easy. Go easy, baby, come back down. If you need somebody, I am right. If you need somebody, I am right here. If you need somebody, if you need somebody, see, I don't want nothing to happen, love. I want you to stay. I want us to look back, knowing we got ourselves through every day. Go easy. Go easy, baby, come back down. You go easy. Go easy, baby, come back down. Won't you come back down? Come back down. Go easy. Won't you come back down? Come back down. Go easy.
Thank you again for coming, and we hope to see you next year. Be sure to take cookies with you. Bonnie, the baggies are there, right? Thank you all for coming.